ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। काश्यपान्वयसञ्जातं नारायणपदाश्रितं श्रीमन्नारायणं वन्दे यतीश्वरश्रियाजुषं नीळातुङ्गस्तनगिरितटे सुप्तमुद्बोध्य कृष्णं पारार्थ्यं स्वं श्रुतिशतशिरःसिद्धमध्यापयन्ति स्वोच्छिष्ठायां सृजनिगणितं यावलात्कृत्य भुङ्क्ते गोदा तस्यै नम इदमिदं भूय एवास्तु भूयः। Okay, so today we will be discussing the 22nd Pasuram. அங்கன்மா ஞாலத்தரசர் அபிமான பங்கமாய் வந்தனின் பள்ளிக்கட்டில் கீழே சங்கம் இருப்பார்போல் வந்து தலைப்பேதோம் கீங்கினவாய்ச் செய்த தாமரை பூப்போலே செங்கஞ்சிறுச்சிறுதே எம்மேல் வெளியாவோ திங்களும் ஆதித்யனும் எழுந்தாற்போல் அங்கண் இரண்டும் கொண்டு எங்கள் மேல் நோக்குதியேல் எங்கள் மேல் சாபம் இழுந்து ஏலோர் எம்பாவாய். This is the Pasuram for today. Hariniji, would you be able to?
Sure, yeah, Adian, I was just about to ask you. And sorry, I joined a little late when Devaganam was happening yesterday. Did Nappinai sang Etra Kalangal Edirpongi yesterday? Did she get to sing it? Or?
She didn't do it yesterday.
Oh, sorry. I thought she did. We could have sung, but that's okay. I will sing today.
Yeah. Sing both if you want. You can sing.
Oh, okay. I'll first sing Etra Kalangal then.
Yeah, okay.
ஏற்ற கலங்கள் எதிர் பொங்கி மீதளிப்ப மாற்றாதே பால் சோரியும் வள்ளல் பெரும் பசுக்கள் ஆற்ற படைத்தான் மகனே அறிவூராய் ஊற்றம் உடையாய் பெரியாய் உலகினில் தோற்றமாய் நின்ற சுடரே துயிலெழாய் மாற்றாருனக்கு வலி தொலைந்து உன் வாசற்கண் ஆற்றாது வந்து உன்னடி பணியுமா போலே போற்றியாம் வந்தோம் புகழ்ந்தேலோரெம் பாவாய். Andal Regulation. Swami Adi Nappinai has just joined. Nappinai?
சொல்லுங்கம்மா. ஜெயஸ்ரீ நாராயண சொல்லுங்கம்மா.
நப்பினை நேத்துக்கு ஏற்ற கலங்கள் பாடலைன்னு சொன்னால நான் சும்மா பாடினேன். அங்கன்மா ஞாலத்து நீங்க பாடுறல நான் பாடவா? ஐ எம் ஓகே வித் எனிதிங்.
ஷூர்மா. மாமி ஏதோ கேட்டிருக்கா. என்ன கேட்டிருக்கா? கேன் யூ ப்ளீஸ் கம் இன் வீடியோ?
ஓ நானா? ஓ சார் என்ன சொல்றேல மாமி?
ஆமா ஆமா, நீங்க பாடுறத ரெண்டு பேருமே யார் பாடுறீங்களோ வீடியோல வந்தா கொஞ்சம் நல்லா இருக்கும்.
சரி சரி. சாரி அடியே, நான் வந்து ஸ்வரூபத்துல இல்ல, நான் தெரியறேன்னா
பேச மாட்டோம்.
சாரி. நான் இப்போ அச்சுதன பாஸ்கெட் பாலுக்கு இப்ப நான் கூட்டின்னு போனோங்கிறதுனால நான் வந்து இதுல இருக்கேன், இந்த ட்ரெஸ்ல இருக்கேன். சரி நப்பினை நீங்க பாடுறீங்களா? நான் பாடவா நப்பினை? அங்கன்மா
ஐ அம் டோட்டலி ஃபைன். எது வேணாலும் ஓகே ஹரிணி.
சரி நான் பாடிடவா? லெட்ஸ் நாட் வேஸ்ட் டைம். தேங்க்யூ நப்பினை. அங்கன்மா ஞாலத்து அரசர் அபிமான பங்கமாய் வந்து நின் பள்ளிக்கட்டின் கீழே சங்கம் இருப்பார்போல் வந்து தலை பெய்தோம் கிங்கிணி வாய் செய்த தாமரை பூ போலே செங்கண் சீரே சிறிதே எம்மேல் விழியாவோ திங்களும் ஆதித்யனும் எழுந்தார் போல் அங்கண் இரண்டும் கொண்டு எங்கள் மேல் நோக்குதியேல் எங்கள் மேல் சாபம் இழிந்தேலோரெம் பாவாய் எங்கள் மேல் சாபம் இழிந்தேலோரெம் பாவாய். ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம்.
ரொம்ப நன்றிம்மா.
Adiyan. So, Nappinai, romba thanks, Nappinai. I really wanted to sing at least one of these days for Raghavan Swami's Upanyasam. I'm really sorry for grabbing this from you.
Grabbing and all, it's everything. Yeah, first Swami first initially asked. Adanaladha ellarume sing paadala Harini.
Thank you.
So,
thank you, Swami. Thank you,
so
Adiyan.
much. Yes, please feel free to sing on remaining days too. Okay. Just want someone to sing and do the Mangala.
Sure.
Some Andal should come and sing and do the Mangala system.
Sure.
The class.
Thank you, Adiyan. Illa Nappinai vandu she's been singing, right? So that's why I thought seri ennikadu or naaladu paadalame appadinu. Thank you, Adiyan Swami.
Thank you, Adiyan.
Thank you.
Andal Tiruvadikale Sharanam. So we will go ahead and get started with the Pasuram for today, right? So today's Pasuram is AnganmA jnAnattalasar. So what is the context for this Pasuram, right? Just for a recap, a quick review of everything that has happened so far. What is this Vratam? This Vratam is for jivas who are bound by karma to get free from karma and attain Paramatma. That is this Vratam. What is the process that Andal has prescribed for that? As beautifully, this is the process that Veda has prescribed. So from the Veda, Andal, who is none other than an Amsha of Bhudevi, she has actually become merciful and she wanted to extract the essence of the Veda. What is the process in which a jiva who is bound by karma can attain Paramatma? That is literally what she is trying to explain to us through these Pasurams. But along with that, she is also explaining so many other aspects, right? Or aspects of Dharma Shastram, aspects of Bhagavan's Kalyana Gunas and so many other things, right? The depths of Thiruppavai are just, incomprehensible because so many realizations shared by so many Bhagavatas, so many Swapadesham commentaries available for Thiruppavai. So we'll try to understand what is it that Andal was trying to explain as far as the process is concerned for jiva to attain Paramatma, right? The first thing is satsangam, right? Or the association, the sahavasam of Bhagavat Bhaktas. So that is the one thing that she's saying. Gradually, what will that lead to? That will lead one to Acharya Samashranam. One will feel like taking proper shelter of an Acharya. And one will feel like obtaining the Upadesam. The next thing is obtaining the mantra from the Acharya. The next thing would be doing Anusandhanam of the mantra that is received, right? So it's mantra artha Anusandhanam. That is the subsequent step. After that, coming to a realization of Bhagavata Sheshatvam. Then coming to a realization of, Lakshmi Samashranatvam. That means understanding that Perumal can only be approached through Pirati, through Lakshmi Devi, right? Because her grace is something that should act as a medium before Paramatma can accept us. And accepting the Lord alone as the means and nothing else. So this is the process that she is trying to describe using these wonderful Pasurams, right? In the process of, gathering devotees and then going to the house of different devotees and then, taking shelter of, Nanda Gopan and taking shelter of Yashoda Pirati and then taking shelter of, Balarama, taking shelter of Nappinai Pirati. In this way, she is just going on describing to us how one has to, follow that process so that one can attain Paramatma, right? A jiva who is bound by karma can get free of that karmic influence and attain Paramatma. So now in this Pasuram, she's trying to focus on one particular aspect of it, right? We have always talked about, in different pasurams, Andal tries to emphasize different aspects, right? In this particular pasuram, the emphasis is on how ananyagatitvam becomes a means to achieve his grace, right? That is the primary subject of today's pasuram, right? Ananyagatitvam means seeing nobody else as a shelter except Paramatma, right? This is something that will be the focus of today's pasuram, right? We have, we've recited the slokam by Yamunacharya, right? Na dharma nishtosmi, na chatma vedi, na bhaktiman, tvat charanaravinde, akinchano, ananyagati sharanya, tvat padamolam sharanam prapadye, right? That if I examine myself, I do not have any qualification, right? I don't consider myself as someone firmly fixed in performing my dharmas, right? Because most of the times I don't even know what my dharmas are. At other times, I have my own laxity because of my purva janma vasanas, because of my, influence of karma and all of that. I'm not even performing my duties properly. So I don't have that. Na Atma Vedi. I don't even understand this Atma Tattva, Paramatma Tattva, and all these things. Na Bhaktimantva Charanaravinde. Nor do I have so much devotion to the lotus feet of yours, right? I don't carry that kind of devotion that all these great Bhagavatas in scriptures carry, right? Then akinchano, right? If I look at myself, I don't have any qualification worth writing in my resume that I'm fit for this eternal role of service to you in Paramapadam, right? Ananyagatihi, therefore I have no other shelter to. With these qualifications, if I go anywhere else, they will reject me, right? Nobody will accept me. So therefore, ananyagatihi sharanyaha tat padamulam sharanam prapadye. Because of that, seeing nobody else as a refuge for me, I have come to you, to your lotus feet, so that you can actually shelter me, right? What is that ananyagatitvam? And how Andal is trying to express that mood in this particular pasuram, how she's seeing that as a means to achieve his grace, right? That is what she's trying to describe in this pasuram. Now, generally, ananyagatitvam is an important expression as part of Sharanagati that we have to do. Why? Because when we go to Paramatma for Rakshana, Paramatma usually doesn't come immediately. He doesn't address, like Gajendra had to wait for some time. It's not like the first prayer, as soon as it came from his mouth, immediately Paramatma ran from there. Why did Paramatma take time? What does he want to see? He wants to see whether our shelter seeking in him is sincere or not, right? Sometimes these donations people come, right? In India, this is very common. No? They carry a box with them. They go from house to house. They knock on the door. The person doesn't open the door. They go to the next door. If that person doesn't open the door, they go to the next door. And most of the times, in most people's cases, they have certain problems that they are going through in life and they want solutions. So naturally what they do is there are so many gods to choose from. So whichever temple, whichever god, whichever stotram, whichever anything anybody points, immediately, it's natural for people to get relief because they are going through a suffering. So what do? They just go and pray. Then what do? They go to another god and they pray the same thing. Then what do? They go to another god and they pray the same thing. In this way, they keep on praying everywhere. Everywhere they say, Anyatha Sharanam Nasti, Tvameva Sharanam Mama. So everywhere they are saying that I don't have anybody else, I have only you. This is actually lying because we are not truly feeling it. Even if someone truly feels it in relation to one of those gods, whoever they are, if that is within their ability, they will do it, right? But people don't truly feel it. Everywhere they keep saying, I have nobody else. I'm reciting your stotram, please sanction. Now we put gods in a conflicting situation. If at all those things are within their means. As far as moksham is concerned, there is no conflict. Only one person can give it. So there is no competition there. But as far as other things are concerned, of course, so many other devatas can also sanction little things, in material life. Right? So we put them all in conflict. Out of respect for each other, they are like, okay, you please take care and you please take care. Right? They won't interfere. In this way, the process will be delayed. So Narayana wants to test and see if the shelter seeking in the particular candidate is sincere or not. Right? Even if he doesn't answer, are we willing to wait there? Right? This is what Gopikas are trying to do. He is not answering immediately. Why did Narayana or Krishna lying inside why did he not answer immediately? Because he wants to see whether this shelter seeking is sincere. Right? Have they really come for my sake? Are they really waiting for me alone? If I don't answer, will they just walk away from here, or will they continue to persist until I respond to them? Right? This is what he wants to test. Why does he want to test like this? Because he is the true father of everyone, right? He wants to understand whether you have finally come to you. Is this your last stop, or is this just one of your stops? That you stop here, you take something and you go away from here. That means this is not the last stop. So whether it is the last stop for us or not, we are ourselves determining in the way we approach gods, right? Different gods, right? When we come to him, the Chandogya Upanishad says, Yatra nanyat pasyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati, sabhuma. Right? What is Paramatma Tattva? Paramatma Tattva is that great Tattva called Bhuma, which is such that after coming to Paramatma, nanyat pasyati, one would not want to see anything else. Right? This is how, Tiruppan Alvar was, right? When he sang this Amalan Adipiran, right, he was literally reciting those pasarams as soon as he was literally meditating on the deity form, right, of Paramatma, of Ranganatha. And as he was meditating on that form, he did not feel like he wanted to look at anything else. So he finally sang about the eyes of the Lord, and that was it, right? So that is the nature of Paramatma. He indeed is that attractive, is that filled with qualities, is that compassionate, is that ultimate resort, right, of everything, such that when someone comes to him, they do not want to go anywhere else. Right? That is his nature. But despite that, people use him as one of their stops. They just stop at him before stopping at some other devata or some other devata or some other devata. Right? In this way, so that is what Paramatma wants to see. Right? Nanyat pashyati means they do not have interest in seeing anything else. Right? Nanyat shrunoti means after hearing about Paramatma, their thirst for hearing is satisfied. We all want to hear. We want to hear about so many things in this world. Constantly, when somebody is speaking something, we want to hear. What are they up to? What are they speaking? What is the news in the, what is today's news? What is going on? Or, what is the chit chat that is going on about people in this community? In this way, people, they want to hear something. There is always a thirst to hear. That is a tendency of the ears. But when one hears about Paramatma, then one feels that satisfaction, the thirst for hearing about something else ends at that point. That is when one has truly heard about Paramatma, right? That is true hearing about Paramatma. Nanyat vijanati. After realizing him, there is nothing further for anybody to realize. He is the ultimate tattva that needs to be realized. That tattva is identified as Paratattva. So that is Narayana. Now he wants to see whether you have realized that he is the supreme, that within his control lies everything, that beyond him there is nothing further that exists, that only if he sanctions, then any other devata has the power to give that to all of us. Because he says in Bhagavad Gita, Mayeva vihitan hitan. Even if we go to other devatas and ask something, through the body of that devata, he alone is awarding the result. We may realize or we may not realize, but that is the truth, right? So that is what he wants to see. Is that refuge seeking ultimate or not, right? So therefore, that is what Andal is trying to express here. What is the nature of all great people, right? AnganmA jnAnattalasar abhimana bhangamai vandanin pallikattil keele. So what she's saying, jnAnattalasar, that all the kings of the earth, right? AnganmA jnAnattalasar, that the nature of this world or earth is such that it is beautiful, it is kan, it is spacious, it is wide, ma, it is big. So AnganmA means it is something that is very beautiful, very spacious, and very big. That is the nature of this world or this realm or this earth. So kings, people who think that this space belongs to them, right? They are AnganmA jnAnattalasar, right? That means all of us think that the space belongs to us in some way. At the level of the ant thinks that Whatever is that small region within that ant's, territory, it thinks that that belongs to it. If it sees any sugar particles in that area, it thinks that that is all meant for. We generally say animals are very territorial in nature. But same is the case with humans too. Humans are also social animals, right? They say that they are just more advanced animals, two-legged animals, right? So humans are also territorial in nature. That means there is a certain realm that they consider that that is their space of enjoyment, right? That could be this body or things related to this body, such as, one's family, one's friends, one's land, one's home, one's degrees, one's language, one's community, one's, nationality, one's identity, one's gender. They take pride in all these things, thinking that this is my realm, this is my space. And something relevant to that space is mentioned, they feel connected. They feel a sort, some sense of belongingness. That's what they say, right? This is the abhimana that she's talking about, right? So we are all rulers of our own realms in different ways. So then what is she saying? AnganmA nyalattarasar. That all these people who think that there is a certain space that belongs to them, abhimana bhangamai vandu. That being devoid of the abhimana, at some point that abhimana breaks. For some reason it breaks. Okay? We all consider that we have a certain sense of belongingness, a certain sense of identity, certain sense of community, feeling with certain things. But at some point that breaks. Then at that point, they realize that there is no other shelter and then come to Paramatma, right? Vand. So they are having arrived, right? Nin pallikattil keele sangamiruppaar pol vandu talai pedom. Now she is saying that where do they come? They come to nin pallikattil keele, at the feet of your simhasanam, at the feet of your throne. That's where they come, right? At the footsteps of your throne, that's where they come. How do they come? Sangam. How should they come? Sangam. They should come in groups. Sangam, right? Iruppar pol, like being in groups, as if similar to being in groups, they come. Vand, having come, talai pedom, right? They bow down their head. Kinkini vai cheda tamarai poo pole sengan chirichiride emmel veliyavo. Now what is she saying? That after people come to him like that, right? After their abhimana with the certain realm that they think is theirs is cut off, and finally they come to you, right? What should you do? She is giving a certain example. Kinkini vai. Kinkini means it's a certain kind of bell, right? A tiny bell, whose opening she's describing, right? Tamarai poo pole, right? It is like a lotus flower that is semi-open, right? Kinkini vai means the mouth of that bell is like the tiny opening of a semi-bloomed lotus flower, right? That is what she's describing. Just like from a lotus flower, sometimes a small bee comes out. The flower hasn't fully bloomed yet, but a small bee is coming out of it. So that resembles the shape of a bell, right? So similar to that, she is describing how Paramatma should also open his eyes and grace everybody. The bee inside the flower is compared to the eyeballs of Paramatma. And the small opening of the bell, the mouth of the bell, represents the opening of a bloom of a flower, right? Just like a flower blooms slightly once the sun falls, similarly, you also open your eyes and may, semkan, your reddish eyes, from them, chirichiride emmel viliyavo. Little by little, slowly, gradually, may your grace fall upon us. That is what she's saying. Will you not look at us? Emmel viliyavo. Will you not look at us? Will not you let the grace of you fall on us? This is what she's asking. So somehow or the other, once people come to you after their, attachments are removed, will you not show your grace by falling, making your eyes fall on them, your grace, your vision fall on them? What is the nature of your grace? Tingadum adityanum edundar pol. Now she is saying, Tingadum adityanum. The nature of your grace is that your eyes are compared to, previously she said, right? Your eyes are compared to sun and the moon, right? We all know from Vishnu Sahasranam, Surya Chandrocha Netre, right? When we meditate on the Dhyana Mantram in the Vishnu Sahasranam, right? It describes, right, how Surya Chandrocha Netre Karana Vasav Sirodhyaur Mukhamapi Dahano Yasya Vastema Abdihi, right? In this way, it describes how different universal things are parts of Paramatma's form. Right? The Surya and Chandra, Tingalum, Adityanum, means the moon and the sun, you know, they represent the position of his eyes. What is the speciality about those eyes? They are actually fierce towards demons. The intensity or the heat of the sun represents the anger Paramatma has in his eyes towards demoniac forces in this world. And the cooling nature of the moon is also present in his eyes, which is there to grace the devotees of Paramatma. Right? So Paramatma's eyes are fierce towards demons and cooling towards devotees. This is also one of Arjuna's observation in Bhagavad Gita. Just like the moon is life-giving in nature, it is invigorating in nature, Paramatma's eyes are also life-giving in nature. They are invigorating in nature. Just like the sun, it is capable of dispelling darkness. The eyes of Paramatma, when the grace falls, the darkness of Ajnanam or ignorance goes away and we will develop Jnanam. Right? So, therefore, she is asking for such a Paramatma to rise. Right? Angan irandum kondu engal mel nokkudiyel. Now, what she is saying is, after describing, comparing his eyes to the sun and the moon, she is saying, Ankan irandum kondu. Your eyes are beautiful, she is saying, because she didn't feel satisfied comparing Paramatma's eyes to the sun and the moon and the lotus and so on. She made 3 comparisons already here. Right? She didn't feel satisfied because none of these things actually are apt comparisons to Paramatma. Very often, we find Maharshis in, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas and so on, they try to compare Paramatma and his glory to, these kinds of objects, that Somavat Priyadarsanaha, like Paramatma is beautiful like the moon, Kalagni Satrasa Krodhe, right? Kshamaya Prithvi Samaha. In this way, just for us to get some sense of understanding, so that our understanding about Paramatma's qualities is in the right direction, they say Somavat Priyadarshanaha, he is beautiful like the moon. So we shouldn't think that Paramatma's beauty is only at most the beauty of the moon. That is incorrect. Because moon got its beauty because it emerged from Paramatma. Because what did the Veda say? The Veda says, Chandrama manaso jataha chaksho suryo ajayata mukhadindras chagnischa pranat vayur ajayata. In this way, the Veda describes a sequence that everything emanated from Paramatma. Then to describe something of Paramatma in relation to things that have emanated from him is actually an insult to him. It's not a glorification of him. But despite that, why do the rishis do that? They say Paramatma's glory is like Indra's glory. They say Paramatma's tolerance, his forbearance is like the forbearance of earth, or his stability is like that of a mountain. In this way, why do they compare? They compare so that we get some sense of understanding that, see, look at how beautiful the moon is. All the poets glorify the moon with beauty, right? So just like the moon is beautiful, Paramatma is also beautiful. That is the sense that we should get. To give us a directional sense, they provide those upamanas, right? Those similarities are provided. Those metaphors are actually given. But that does not mean that Paramatma is limited by it. In fact, a lotus petal doesn't even compare to Paramatma's eyes. It doesn't even compare to Paramatma's feet. But very often we compare his eyes and his feet to lotuses, right? Similarly, sun and moon are no comparison to Paramatma. Why? Because sun and moon, they go through eclipses. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are swallowed, sometimes they are covered, right? But Paramatma's eyes are never covered like that, right? Paramatma's eyes are always, and sun and moon also go through birth and death, right? Because, at the time of creation, sun is created. At the time of total dissolution, sun is also swallowed, moon is also swallowed. So they don't exist at that time. So, but Paramatma's eyes are not like that. They don't have temporality associated with them, right? They are permanent. Right? In this way, everything of the sun and the moon do not apply to Paramatma, right? So because of this reason, we cannot say that is an apt comparison. So therefore, just like Valmiki, after describing, he describes Rama's eyes, he compares them to moon, and then after that he says Ativa Priyadarshanam. Again, he doesn't feel satisfied and he says it is, very beautiful, Rama's eyes. So here also Andal says, again, she, after comparing with the lotus, after comparing with the sun and the moon, again she is saying Paramatma's eyes are very, very beautiful. because she doesn't feel satisfied. Now she is saying, Engal mel nokkudiyel, why don't you bless us? We have given up everything. We have come to you. After coming to you, why are you not responding? Why don't you come and bless us? So that giving up of everything is what they are saying, that ananyagatitvam, right? That we are not trying to take shelter of something else. Now we have given up everything and we have come to you. You please shelter us now. This is what she is trying to pray. Engal me shapam idundu elor empavai. Our curse, you please destroy our curse. Please remove our curse. Engal mel shapam idundu. What is the shapam she is talking about? The curse of material existence, right? This samsara is a kind of curse for us. Why is it a curse? Because the nature of karma, what is the nature of shapam? The nature of shapam is that one has to experience it, because it comes from the words of a powerful person, right? When a powerful person gives out some kind of curse, then that curse fructifies. When a powerful person gives a blessing also, that blessing fructifies. When they utter a curse also, that curse fructifies. So therefore, one has to experience it. In the scriptures, we never see any instance where curses have been adjusted. Right? Curse was there, but a solution was provided to that curse. Right? But curse could not be adjusted. Right? Because why? Paramatma has the ability to adjust curses too. There is nothing that is not within his realm. He can always do that. But out of respect for the person who issued it, he doesn't nullify it. There is always a solution that is provided. So just like you have removed this, similarly, the nature of samsara is, what is the reason for samsara? Karma. What is the nature of karma? Avasyam amanubhoktavyam kritam karma shubhashubham. Avasyam anubhoktavyam. One has to experience the results of one's actions, right? Whether they are pious actions or impious actions, one has to experience. That is the nature of karma. There is no way out of this karma. If one has done pious activities, he has to take birth to experience the good deeds, good fruits of that good deeds. If one has committed impious actions, one has to experience the results of those bad deeds too. This is the nature of karma. The only way one can break from this shapam is Paramatma's grace has to fall to such an extent, so that there is a solution that is provided to this. So they are saying that just remove the shapam of material existence for us. We are cursed for eternity to go on taking birth like this. That it doesn't seem like it has an end. So you please relieve us from this, is what they are saying. So this is the meaning of the Pasuram externally. Now we'll try to dig a little deeper and then experience certain beauties that are present in this particular Pasuram. Right? AnganmA jnAnattalasar abhimana bhangamai vand. So she is talking about this abhimana, right? That people possess. What is the abhimana that people possess? Everybody, like we discussed previously, Krishna, there is chapter 16 in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna describes the nature of abhimana, right? This false pride that people carry, right? Says dambho darpo abhimanasya krodha parushymevacha ajnanancha abhijatasya partha sampadam asurim. He says that the nature of demoniac people is that they carry this dambha, tendency to show off, darpa, false pride, abhimana, krodha, parushyam. There is always harshness in them. There is never gentleness in them. Ajnanancha abhijatasya. All these things come from ajnana, ignorance. And these are the wealth of demoniac people, he says. These are all the qualities that demoniac people have, he says. Later on, he says the way demoniac people think. Idamadya maya labdham, imam prapsya manoratham, idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam. Asho maya hatasyatruhu, hanishye chaparanapi, ishvaroham, aham bhogi. So in this way, idamadya maya labdham. Today I have, I have obtained all these things. Imam prapsya manoratham. Whatever my mind gets, I will go and get that. Right? There is no check for desires in my mind. If my mind gets a desire, I should get it. So this is how demoniac people think. They don't consider the consequences. Is that thing good for me? Is that thing good for my family? Is that thing good for the community? In this way, they don't do any evaluation of what desires come in their mind. Right? And then, idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam. No problem. Today I will go on enjoying. In future, somehow wealth will come. So once wealth comes, I will go and enjoy again. What if wealth doesn't come? I'll go and anyanena, Anyayena artha sanchayan, Krishna says. Even by improper means, I'll go and earn wealth. What if somebody blames you? Asomaya hatashatruhu, I will eliminate them. If someone tries to attack my agenda, I will get rid of them. Right? Asomaya hatashatruhu, hanishye chaparanapi, ishwaroham. Why? Because I am the Lord. There is nobody who is superior to me. Now we see this mentality projected in many movies, right? Villains and so on, right? That's how they project. But it's not present in a movie character and a villain. This character is present in all of us if we examine that nature, right? That nature is that everybody wants to be controllers in some capacity, right? The problem is it's not wrong to be a controller. It's good to be a controller provided we control based on the laws of God. We remain in control of those laws and we try to control based on those laws. That is okay because we are subordinating ourselves to the supreme will. But when we try to control independent of God's dharmas, thinking that kuch bhi chalega, whatever I do is okay, and I'll set my own rules and I'll set my own realm, my own space, and I'll try to rule over that space. That tendency is the root cause of material existence. The tendency to be Ishvara. When he is the Ishvara, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, he says in Bhagavad Gita, that I am the Ishvara for all living entities. But we think Ishvaro Aham, I am the Ishvara. Everybody wants to become controllers independent of God. This causes false abhimana, thinking that, everything that I see belongs to me. Everything that exists within my realm is for my enjoyment. This me and my mentality is what destroys the jiva, right? Ato gruha kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti, says Bhagavata Purana. That gradually that realm keeps on expanding for the person and he gets more and more and more and more entangled, right? Initially, they all exist as brahmacharis. Not really, at least Vedic brahmacharis did not have anything to own. Gradually, one gets dara, a certain wife. Then, in order to maintain a family, he needs a griha. For that, they get a kshetra. Then they get suta, children. Then they get apta, so many friends and relatives and community. Then, for maintaining all of these people, they need vitta. In this way, they go on expanding their needs, and so on, and keep getting complicated. Then they become attached to so many things. The more things one becomes attached to, the more difficult it is for one to break through all these attachments. When the time comes to give up everything, like Kuratalvan just gave away everything. Andal, overnight, they heard that Paramatma there in the temple was getting disturbed because of the door that was getting very closed very late in the night. Overnight, they gave up all their wealth and they went away. But seeing Kuratalvar's state, his wife, Andal, she couldn't, bear that her husband should eat, on nothing. So she carried a small, vessel with her, golden patra she carried with her. And then she was feeling fearful in the forest as they were traveling through deep jungles. She was feeling fearful. Kuratalvan asked, "What do you have?" She said, "I didn't get anything for our sake. I just carried a small vessel so that you can eat some prasadam when it's given to you." And he said, "Throw it away." She threw it away and there was no more fear. So in this way, are we in a position to give up things when the time is right? The easier it will be for us to give up things when we have little attachments. But when the realm of attachments keep on increasing, our abhimana towards things keeps on increasing, it becomes very, very difficult for us to break through. One time, Parashara Bhattar Swami was approached by a disciple. He said, "Swami, if we look at all these devatas, right, Brahma, Rudra, Indra, and so many other devatas, we learn from scriptures that they are all great Bhagavatas. But we are all saying that, we perform prapati, you do sharanagati, we'll get moksham. But why are they not getting moksham? Is it not easy for them to get moksham?" Right? Then Parasara Bhattar Swami said, the amount of abhimana for someone in the role of a Brahma is much more compared to the amount of abhimana a prapanna will have. Because how does a prapanna approach Paramatma? The way a prapanna approaches Paramatma is, I really have nothing of significance. Akinchano ananyagatitvam. I have nothing else to do to. There is hardly, I am unqualified. The mood in which a prapanna approaches Paramatma is, I'm unqualified to begin with. I don't have anybody else to go through. Now I'm placing myself in your hands. You do whatever you want with me. Please take me back because I don't have any capacity of my own to take myself back to you. then Paramatma accepts that responsibility. But so this should be the ideal nature of a prapanna, right? But whether we are there or not is a different story. This is in theory. That's how a prapanna should be. Now, when we come to someone who are universal lords like Brahma, Rudra, Indra, Manus, and all these things, the realm of responsibility is so much for them. An entire universe belongs to them. So they have, for them, what are their duties? Now, what should we do within our own duties? Whatever duties of Varnashrama we have, we should practice Phalatyaga, Sangatyaga, and Kartrutva Tyaga in all these things, right? That is the essence of Sharanagati, right? We have to understand that I am not the performer of these duties. Paramatma is the performer. I am not the enjoyer of whatever I am doing. He is the enjoyer. I am not the proprietor of these things. He is the proprietor. These are the three things we should practice. In our small realm of duties, in our small relationships, in our small things that we own, we should practice all these things, right? But if we think about someone like Brahma, who own an entire universe, right? Think about how many responsibilities they will have. For them to practice these things becomes much more difficult. For them to give up those feelings becomes much more difficult. Because after performing tapasya for many hundreds and thousands of years, they got those posts. Because they have a certain desire to rule in a certain capacity, Paramatma has awarded them, right? That particular post. It becomes all the more difficult for them to break through those things, to practice all these things, to really feel all these things. To feel these things is easier if you are someone living in a small, hut, not having anything. Then to admit that I don't have anything is easier. But imagine if someone is the CEO of a company doing so many transactions on the day-to-day basis. Even more, what if someone is the king of emperor of the entire world? At one point, such emperors existed. Today, there is nobody like that. Concept of king itself is gone. There is some president, and so on for each country. But at one point, the entire planet was ruled by one king. He was the emperor of that entire place. Such kings existed at one point. Imagine someone ruling many such planets exist in one locum. Many such lokas exist in one universe. To that universe, people like Brahma, Rudra, Indra, all these are overlords. Think about how many functions they do on a day-to-day basis, how many departments they have to manage. Now, the ability to practice these things becomes all the more difficult for them. So that's why Parasarvata Swami is saying, the more attachments we increase, the more responsibilities we get into, it becomes that much more difficult for us to practice this true feeling that I don't have anything. I really can't do anything. It is you who is doing everything. It is you who is the enjoyer of everything. This kind of feeling to get, that is why even people like Brahma and so on, they were subject to illusion. When Krishna came and he was doing things, Brahma thought, I am the creator. Where are all these people coming from? In this way he thought, in Brahma Vimohana Leela, right? Otherwise that thought wouldn't come to him because it was difficult for him to practice those kinds of feelings, right, within his thoughts. So therefore, even people like Brahma, they were subject to illusion, temporarily thinking, how did all these people come about? I have not created all these people. Then it took some time for him to realize that it is Paramatma's creation. Even if I go and hide, otherwise, why will the thought of hiding all those people come to him? Right? So it becomes very difficult. In other words, the more, higher position someone gets into, the more realm of responsibility increases, the more things one owns, it will be very, very difficult for them to break free from all those things. Now, therefore, to understand these things, right, one is being told that one should practice that thought process of renunciation, right? One should consciously practice that I really don't have anything. Because honestly, there is nothing that we own. Everything that we think is ours is actually Paramatma's. There is nothing that belongs to us, right? But we are thinking foolishly that all these things belong to us. That is the problem. But that problem becomes more and more complicated the more things we start accumulating. So consciously, when things are small, when things are little, we have to practice these feelings that I'm not the true owner of these things. I'm not the enjoyer of these things. These things exist for Paramatma's pleasure. They are all some things that belong to Paramatma. Nothing belongs to me. This feeling should come from the core of our hearts. Nothing is meant for my enjoyment, including my own self, right? These feelings should come from the core of our hearts, right? So this is the practice that one should get, right? That said, again, all these are principles, right? When we said a Prapanna is like that and Brahma is like that, these are principles. In principle, someone like Brahma is subject to those things. But people like Brahma are also very experts, right? In their tapasya, in their penance. It's not any ordinary jiva who is given that position. Very exalted souls who get into that positions too. So they are all mumukshus themselves, right? People who are almost at the verge of getting moksham. Sometimes even a very qualified soul in Brahma Sutras, in the commentaries, or Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, and all these people, Vyasa himself writes these sutras that who are these Adhikara Purushas? These Adhikara Purushas are actually very qualified people who are, themselves, very high degree of mukshus, who are almost in their penultimate stage in Sthita Pragnata level 3 and level 4 and so on. So it's not that, but these are theories. In principle, Parasar Bhattar Swami is explaining that someone in that position is subject to these kinds of things much more compared to someone who is owning very small. But we can only think that even with these small things, we are thinking that everything belongs to us. We are unable to break free from these attachments. So what Andal is saying is that when we are able to break free from all these things, just like Vibhishana, when he approached Ramachandra, he did not think that, he was left with a kingdom, because truly he was not seeing Lanka anymore as a place where he can resort to. So therefore he said, Rajyam Nama, therefore what did he say? Parityakta Maya Lanka. He said, I've completely given up Lanka. I don't see that as a place of shelter for me anymore. Then he said, Tyaktva Putramscha Daramscha. I have given up my wife and children and all these things. I have given up everything. Bhavadgatam me rajyam cha jivitancha dhanani cha. He said, everything is you for me, Rama, at this point, right? The mood in which Vibhishana approached and performed Sharanagati towards Rama was truly from the core of his heart. He was feeling that, now I'm not seeing anything as a shelter for me, right? I've clearly seen with my heart, I've observed, with my knowledge, I've ascertained that you are the person who is the worthy person to take shelter of. Therefore, I've given up everything completely. Parityakta means fully giving up in a way that I don't take that thing up anymore. This is parityakta. Tyakta means giving up. Parityakta means fully giving something up. Just like Krishna said, Sarvadharman parityajya, he said. He did not say Sarvadharman tyajya. Tyajya means just giving up. Give up for some time. Afterwards, you can take, don't touch it right now. After everybody leaves, you can eat that cake. No, that is not the tyakta. Parityakta means, fully giving up. That again, you don't touch it ever in your life. So that is parityakta. So in this way, Vibhishana truly felt that after coming from Lanka, after telling Ravana goodbye forever, he cannot go back and say, no, I didn't find Rama a suitable shelter, I'm coming back to you, right? He didn't feel that anywhere in his heart. So in this way, we have to approach Paramatma. That I don't see anything else as my shelter at this point. I've come to you. How have I come to you? Parityakta Maya Lanka. That whatever I'm seeing as my residing place or anything, that means a place where I saw myself as a refuge, that this is a security that I have for me. I have a very secure job. I have a very secure family. I have a very secure community. I have a very secure home. I have a very secure insurance policy. In this way, we shouldn't think and approach Paramatma. We should truly feel that there is nothing secure in this world, right? Any of these things could go away at any time. You alone are the true shelter, right? Overnight, histories have changed for people. The previous night, they were all very rich people. The next morning, they became the poorest people. The example for this is Ramachandra himself. Previous night, he was going to be coronated as the prince. The next day, he was sent out of the kingdom, right? So if that can happen with Ramachandra, that can happen with anybody, right? So nobody is immune to these things. So one should not see one's shelter in these things. So tyaktva putramscha daramscha. This is indicating that we should not even see anybody else in this world as protectors of us. That feeling should also be there. Thinking that my family will protect me, my friends will be there to protect me, my community will be there to protect me, my WhatsApp network will protect me, my LinkedIn network will protect me. In this way, one should not think. Because nobody will come to our protection. If Paramatma wants to protect us, only then somebody will respond. If Paramatma decides that protection should not be offered, nobody can do anything. That is the thing that happened in the case of Gajendra. Everybody was there watching the scene just like they were sitting in an open air theater as Gajendra was fighting with the crocodile. Not one elephant came inside. Wouldn't it have been easy for any one of them to step into the river and all of them to jump on the crocodile and destroy that crocodile? It's not difficult. But nobody got that inspiration. Why? because it was meant to happen like that. So if Paramatma decides things should happen in a certain way, nobody can do anything about it, right? This understanding one should have, that feeling that I belong to you and you alone can fully protect me. This is the mood in which people have approached you. People like Vibhishana and so on, they have come to you, they have approached you, right? And she is also saying one more attribute that one should feel. Nin pallikattil keele shangam iruppar pol vanduttalai peidom. She is saying that when one approaches you, one should always come in groups, she is saying. And they should surrender at your simhasanam, right? They should come and fall at your simhasanam. Very interesting why she is saying like this. What is the meaning of this? Why always at the feet of the simhasanam? Because if you look at Bharata's example, did Bharata at any point feel that he was the protector, he was the king, or he was the ruler? No. At no point he really felt like that. Even when he was sitting in his maternal uncle's place, he was not feeling like that. Even when he came to Ayodhya for the first time after a visit from his maternal uncle's place, he did not have any such feelings, right? All the citizens doubted him, right? Vasishta Maharshi and other Maharshis doubted him. Kausalya doubted him. Guha doubted him. Bharatwaja doubted him. Everybody doubted him, right? Why did this happen to him? He got criticized by everybody. He did not have any abhimana towards anything. He never thought, even in his distant dream, he did not think that one day he would become the king. But this is what happens, right? When we don't consciously, make ourselves subordinate to the feet of the Lord, consciously we don't acknowledge, then somehow or the other, in some form, we will again get entangled in these things, right? This is what this is indicating. Finally, people stopped criticizing him only when he brought Ramapadukas and placed them on the top of his head, and every day he started worshipping them. That's when the criticism stopped. Externally, socially, he's showing that only when you come and surrender yourselves to the feet of Lord Rama, that's when this kind of criticism will stop. On the other hand, you see Lakshmana also, he also had no desire, but Lakshmana never got criticized by anybody, because wherever Rama went, he went along with Rama. That's all. He was completely engaged in the service of Rama. So this active engagement in the service of the Lord and his feet and his lotus feet is the way we can protect ourselves from these kinds of feelings cropping over us again, right? And she is also saying one more thing, that we should always approach in groups. It is interesting she says this. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, in describing the symptoms of a person in knowledge, Aratir Janasamsadi, he says, that a person in knowledge never tries to associate with too many people. He remains secluded, he says. But here Andal is saying, Thiruppavai is all about approaching in groups. Why is she saying this? Because when one is alone, then one is susceptible to fall down anytime. This is the problem. In fact, many Maharshis have fallen down. Vishwamitra, right? How did he fall down? He went and he was doing his penance. Somebody said, you are a great person, please help me. Immediately he felt, I'm a great person, I have to help. He fell down. So many times. He said, Vasishta Maharshi is not sending me to heaven, you send me. Trishanku came, he said, you send me to heaven. He said, yes, I am great, I will send you to heaven. In this way, again, even if we give up this me and my, Vishwamitra gave up everything. He was a king previously. He gave up everything and he went to the forest to do penance, right? For one reason or another. Of course, that penance was not purified in the beginning. It did not have a pure motive to begin with. It was to take revenge against Vasishta that he started it. But when people came and told him, you protect me, you protect me, you protect me, he immediately felt, I am the protector, I am the caretaker. In this way, so many people came to me. Harishchandra came, Ambarisha came, and Trishanku came. So many people came to him for one reason or the other to seek protection. Again and again, he felt, he developed that me and my conception, and that he was the protector, he had to protect and so on, and he fell down. Shaubhari Maharshi, he gave up everything and he went inside the river and he was doing penance for several thousands of years. But as he was seeing the family of a certain fish, every day, mother fish, father fish, children fish, everywhere, they were jumping over each other, they were playing and so on. Immediately he felt, I also want family. He gave up his penance and he came. So just the family of a fish was sufficient to disturb him, and he again developed abhimanam towards, having a family and all these things. This is the nature of Saubhari Maharshi. Bharata, we all know the story of Jada Bharata, right? He was a great king. He gave up everything, went to the forest. he, a small fawn came to him, right? A young one of a deer. A deer gave birth to a fawn and it died. Now he thought that he's the protector of this deer. Again, he got entangled and he had to take another birth as a deer, right? So even when Bharata was there, Kaikeyi, she came and said, Rajan, you are the king. Bharata fainted immediately. What are you saying? Am I the king? I'm not the king. Rama is the king. So in this way, when we are alone, somebody may again entangle us. In some form, we may see some enjoyment going on. Something is going, such a nice movie is coming. See, this is what enjoyment is. What devotion, God, puja, and all these things. One should enjoy life like this. In this way, one will think when one is alone. But when we are in the presence of satsanga all the time, when we are in the presence of bhagavatas, our mind will be attracted to other kinds of things, whether we like it or not. Forcefully, we'll engage in those things. Gradually, our mind will be purified. So therefore, she is saying one should constantly, somehow or the other, stay in the association of bhagavatas. That is the immunity for us, right? That is how we can make ourselves immune to samsara. So always stay in the association of bhagavatas. Even simple things, we don't have motivation for doing when we want to do alone. Exercise, yoga, all these things. So when there is a group, we want to practice. We want to do it together, right? Same thing even in devotion, right? So this is what she is saying. Now she is saying, Vandu, such people have come to you. This is a great accomplishment, right? That the jiva coming back to Paramatma is one of the greatest accomplishments. It's actually a greatest wonder. Why? This jiva, who actually belongs to Paramatma, who is dependent on Paramatma for everything, thinks out of illusion that he is independent, that he is separate from Paramatma, and tries to enjoy things related to Paramatma as if they are his own, as if they are his own earnings, and he tries to suffer in samsara for millions of births. Someone who is suffering for millions of births like that, and deepening these conceptions, these vasanas, someone thinks that, is very good at mathematics in this life. Next birth, he becomes a child prodigy, right? Right from birth, he's able to solve all kinds of math theorems and math problems. Someone is a very good, music player, percussionist, and all these things in the previous life. Right from age 3, age 2, they start playing all kinds of instruments. These are all Purvajanma vasanas, Purvajanma samskaras. So in the previous births, imagine if someone had these samskaras that he was the Indra in the previous birth, in the next birth, he may take birth as a human being. But the tendency to rule over everybody, tendency to control everybody, tendency to get everybody's praises and all these things will be very strong in such a person. So we are also carrying so many Purvajanma vasanas like this with all of us. So Abhimana is actually a very complicated network, right? It's not just small, little linear equations with multiple things so that you can simply cut off with a simple scissor and everything is done. It's actually a web, right? It's like a complete web that we have. And the depths, it's like a deep neural network, right? Convoluted neural network and deep neural, this is what they are discussing, deep learning. So one should deeply learn about one's karma. Gahana karmano gatihi, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So it is very difficult to understand how much abhimana we have towards all kinds of things. We don't even know how many things we are attached to. So these tentacles of attachment should be broken completely, right? And we should feel that we are so insignificant and we have to depend on Paramatma. So somehow, by a rare stroke of fortune, if the jiva comes into that satsanga and finally approaches the abode of Paramatma, that is a great wonder. Because to get to that point, this jiva ends up torturing Paramatma like crazy, right? For this jiva's sake, Paramatma has to take so many births in all kinds of species and so on, right? So finally, if the jiva has come, Vandu, they have come, that itself is a great accomplishment. So Andal is saying, for someone to break free from all these attachments, right, and come to the point of surrendering to you is the greatest accomplishment. Now, we have all come like this. Now, can you not do this one thing and make your grace fall on us and accept us? We have come till this point, right? Can you not please accept us? How should you accept us? She is giving a very interesting analogy. She is saying that Paramatma's eyes should be, semi-open. They are semi-open, right? Just like she is comparing that to a kinkini, like a small bell, the opening of a small bell, or just like a, semi-bloomed lotus flower. Like that, Paramatma's eyes should be open, and the grace from his reddish eyes should fall on us. Sirichiride, she's saying, little by little, that grace should fall on us. What is the meaning of this? Why can't he open his eyes nicely, and why can't that grace fall on us? What is the problem with that? When a person is sleeping, it is better to have dimmable lights in that room instead of having one big light. Because suddenly, if you open, they out of shock, they'll wake up. That is not good. That waking up process should be slow and steady, right? It shouldn't be, sudden for anybody to react because they cannot take it. We are also deeply asleep in samsara. Suddenly, if someone tries to wake us up, we'll be in a state of shock, So that waking up process should also be very slow, right? Slowly, that has to come from us. So therefore, Paramatma has to slowly provide that grace and take us from that place to this place, right? This is one thing. The second thing, why Paramatma's eyes are semi-open, is when he looks at us without having Mahalakshmi next to him, then all our dehatmabhimanam, our false pride, our independent nature, tons and tons of sins that we have committed, no desire to obey him at all these things will come to his mind. He doesn't even want to look at us. But it is the nature of Mahalakshmi, who is next to him, who tries to pacify him and, develop that compassion in him. Because of that compassion, there is a struggle that Paramatma is going through. On the one hand, he has to deal with all the sins that he cannot forgive. On the other hand, the compassion in him is something that is forcing him to look at us. Because of that, his eyes are semi-open. So they are 50%, average between 0, completely closed and completely open. So they are semi-open, his eyes. So on the one hand, he is bound to give results based on the karma. On the other hand, he cannot decline a jiva who has come to him saying that I have no other refuge but you. Then how can one say, no, go away, you are very sinful? That he cannot do. It is not the nature of a person who gives shelter to decline anybody. One has to accept. If anybody comes saying, you are my shelter, please protect, they have to protect. That is dharma. If that is within their capacity. That is within their capacity to protect, they have to protect. So this is within Paramatma's capacity. So he cannot say, you're unqualified and so on. Especially when they say that I don't have any qualifications. I'm admitting ahead of time that I don't have any qualifications. I cannot protect myself. You please protect me. Then Paramatma has to offer that protection. So therefore, he feels that, that Vatsalyam towards jivas who have taken shelter of him makes his eyes open. And he cannot find faults in people who have come to him saying, I'm full of faults. Then what can he do? Similarly, if things have to be given based on karma, then they can only yield results after a certain time, right? Until then, he has to remain closed. But if the jivas are very desperate, then the desperation of the jiva makes Paramatma give the results even quicker. So therefore, we see Drupta Prapatti and Artha Prapatti, right? Drupta Prapatti is doing Prapatti and letting Paramatma take whenever he wants to take. Artha Prapatti is something that Nammalwar and others, Gajendra and so on, they have expressed. They couldn't contain themselves without seeing Paramatma, that they just want Paramatma to take them immediately, right? That desperation they have shown. So Paramatma cannot say that I have more number of years for you in samsara, you please remain, I'll take you after a while. No, because they're so desperate. It's like a child crying so desperately for mother. So the mother has to stop all of mother's works and come and attend the child. That is not the case in the case of other children who can be engaged by giving them games, chocolates, this, that, and so on, putting TV or whatever, right? In their cases, the mother can finish all of her works and then come and attend. In the case of a child who is crying until the mother picks up, the mother has to put aside everything else and come. So the desperation of the jiva is what makes Paramatma attend to that jiva immediately, right? So this is what is being talked about here. And why should Paramatma not immediately, show all the grace at once? Because, if someone hasn't eaten for a long time, let's say someone is doing a long fast, 7-day fast or something like that, the digestive fire in the body becomes very, very manda, very, very slow. So one cannot suddenly eat a heavy meal after that fasting. One has to gradually increase that quantity of meal. Otherwise, the body will throw up. It cannot digest it. It cannot. The digestive fire is so low. Similarly, if someone hasn't worked out in years, suddenly one fine day they realize that I've gained a lot of body weight, so I have to start working out. All of a sudden they cannot do. Then the body will get all kinds of pains. Slowly and gradually they have to increase the amount of workout, the kind of workout they do and so on. Gradually they have to build muscle. Similarly, this process is gradual. Why? Why should it be gradual? Because First, we have a lot of dehatmabhimana. That means first we think that this body is meant for our enjoyment. That is the misconception we begin with. In that misconception, we can never think that Paramatma, you are my only refuge, you are my only protector, you protect me, I belong to you. We cannot come to that phase. So Paramatma's grace has to fall on us step by step and make us get there. How? First thing, this dehatmabhimana should go away. That means this misconception that this body itself is the jiva should be removed. First of all, we should understand that I'm not this body, I'm the soul. That is step number one. His grace falls on us and we come to the conclusion that I'm the soul and not the body. Then his grace further falls on us. Then we come to the conclusion that I'm a soul who belongs to God. It's not that I'm an independent soul, I'm a dependent soul. Right? There is someone to whom I belong. That is the next step in understanding. Then, if Paramatma's grace falls on us further, then we come to the conclusion that I belong to nobody else except him. It's not that I belong to someone means, okay, I may belong to him and him and him and him and her and her and her. It's not like that. It says I belong only to Paramatma and nobody else. This is the next step in understanding, right? Then Paramatma's grace further falls on that person and the understanding matures even further to the feeling that everything is for his sake. His sake. Everything is not for my sake. Right? One should understand that he does everything through me for his purpose, for his enjoyment. Right? That is the understanding one should come to. Then his grace falls on that jiva further, and then one will fully understand that he is doing everything, and the tendency to protect oneself also through one's own effort goes away. Right? If we understand that he is the one doing everything, then we will not put an effort to protect ourselves. He will protect us too, because he is the one who is acting through us at all times, right? So he will protect us in the way he wants to protect, in his own way. Then that maturity will come. Then if his grace falls on us further, one stops seeing other things as upayams to reach him, right? That he alone is the upayam. Then if his grace falls on us further, one realizes that everything one is dependent on Paramatma. In everything, one is completely dependent on Paramatma. That means whatever is happening in all of that, it's really not one's own effort, but Paramatma is the one who is empowering everything. In this way, one will experience Paramatma through every action. This is the next step in realization. Again, further grace falls on the jiva, then realizes that it is Paramatma, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. In this way, one realizes that in everything is functioning because of Paramatma's existence. Then Paramatma's grace further falls on that jiva and one realizes that one is fully becoming a free instrument in the hands of Paramatma. That one lets Paramatma use this body in whichever way Paramatma wants, and one becomes happy just at the way Paramatma is using one's body. This is the Parakashta Dasha of Kainkaryam. That fully coming to the point where we fully understand that Paramatma, whichever way Paramatma wants to use this body for his pleasure, may that body be used in that way. I will just remain a spectator and I will just freely facilitate Paramatma's use of this body. That means when the fan wants to rotate like this, one of the wings shouldn't say, I don't want to rotate and put up a resistance. It should just go with the flow. In this way, if Paramatma wants to use this body in a certain way, I shouldn't try to resist Paramatma. I should fully surrender to his will. How do I know in which way Paramatma is wanting? Simple validation is validating through our acharyas and scriptures. We should not think Paramatma wants me to watch a movie, right? I will just go and watch a movie, right? That is not one's understanding, right? Whatever activities we are doing should already be fully subordinate to the scripture, right? So in this way, when completely one has given oneself to Paramatma and one is experiencing Paramatma's happiness in using this body as one's own happiness, then that is the fullest phase of surrender to Paramatma. In that, to reach that phase, one has to depend upon the grace of Paramatma at every step. In Tatparya Chandrika, which is the sub-commentary, Tika to Gita Bhashyam by Bhagavad Ramanuja, Swami Vedanta Desikan, he writes very beautifully how it is the grace of Paramatma from the beginning till the end that is driving the jiva, right? Jiva's, Paramatma's grace is what falls on the Jiva, and the Jiva feels inspired to do karmas properly. Paramatma's grace is what falls on the Jiva, and the Jiva is able to practice Karma Yoga properly. Paramatma's grace falls on the Jiva, and then Jiva's mind becomes purified. Paramatma's grace falls on the Jiva, and the Jiva develops understanding of all these levels. Paramatma's grace falls on the Jiva, and the Jiva develops bhakti towards Paramatma. Then Paramatma's grace falls on the Jiva, and the Jiva does only things that are pleasing to Paramatma. Then Paramatma's grace is what delivers the Jiva back to Paramatma. So in this way, Swami Desikan writes how Paramatma's grace is the thing that little by little, gradually, step by step, Paramatma, he shows his grace and takes the Jiva back to him. This is what is being explained here. Tingalum Adityanum Erundarpol. Here again, she is just saying that his eyes, Paramatma's eyes should be such that they should always be compassionate to the devotees who are trying to advance towards him, and they should be fierce like the sun towards demoniac forces like Hiranyakashipu, which are preventing the Jiva from attaining Paramatma. Right? They should be compassionate towards devotees like Prahlada who are trying to attain Paramatma, and be like soothing moon for such people. And they should be like fierce sun for people like Hiranyakashipu who are trying to cause a disturbance in the journey of Jiva to Paramatma. In other words, they may not be real people in our lives in all cases. They may even be our own kama, krodha, lobha, and all these feelings towards which Paramatma should, the other side of his eye, which is fierce, should fall on them. Those kinds of qualities, so that they don't stop our journey. So now she is describing how beautiful Paramatma's eyes are. So we have already experienced the beauty in these words, right? It is that nothing is actually comparable to Paramatma's eyes. Therefore, she is glorifying that they are actually beautiful, which is incomparable beauty. She cannot compare to anything. Finally, Engal Mel Shapam Idundu. Now we have talked about Shapam. Why did she use this Shapam? Because Paramatma's grace has a special ability. What is that? What is the Shapam? The Shapam is being cursed to be in samsara, experiencing the dukkha of samsara, right? In a way such that we are not able to attain Paramatma. This is the Shapam for us. So how do we get free from this Shapam? She is meditating. How did Ahalya get free from the Shapam of Gautama? The dust of Rama's lotus feet touched Ahalya. That is how she got purified and she got liberated from the curse of Gautama, right? How did Indra get free from the Shapam of Durvasa Maharshi? Durvasa Maharshi cursed Indra. Indra, once upon a time, Durvasa Maharshi gave him a garland, right? And Durvasa Maharshi, Indra just ignored that garland. Instead of taking it as Mahaprasadam of a great Bhagavata and taking it on his head, he thought this is not something worth of my attention, and he put it on Airavata. Airavata, being an elephant, it didn't know what to do. It played like this, and it fell down and it started stepping with its feet. Durvasa Maharshi got angry and he said, all your Aishwaryam will go away, because you didn't understand the nature of Narayana's prasadam. This is a prasadam of Narayana. If you show disrespect towards Narayana's prasadam at any time, then who will go away from you? His wife will get angry. So Lakshmi will go away. So Durvasa Maharshi said, may you be deprived of Aishwarya. So immediately he lost his Amaravati, right? So he had to suffer, and again after a lot of effort, again Lakshmi Kataksham fell on him, because Narayana, naturally Indra went and he prayed to Narayana, he sought forgiveness. Then Narayana devised a plan so that his Amaravati could be regained and he could return Amaravati to him. So Lakshmi Kataksham fell by mercy of Narayana again. Then Rudra, he got a Shapam from Brahma, because at one point Rudra becomes very angry with Brahma and he cut off one of his heads. Brahma had 5 heads. So Rudra cut off one of his heads. Now at this point, Brahma became angry and he counter-cursed Rudra, saying, because you cut off my head, you'll remain thirsty and hungry, and my head will stick to you. As long as my head will stick to your palm, for that long you'll remain thirsty and hungry. So Rudra was actually feeling a lot of thirst and hunger. He was running everywhere in the universe. And finally, he prayed to Narasimha, right? Sudarsana Narasimha. And then finally, Vishnu, what did he do? Sweat from his chest actually fell on the palms of Lord Rudra, and then that's when the skull of Brahma dropped from the palm of Rudra. And this way Rudra got relief from the curse of Brahma, right? In this way, the sweat of Lord Vishnu was capable of relieving his curse, right? In one case, it is the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Rama that relieved the Shapam. In another case, it is the Lakshmi which is present in the heart of Narayana that caused grace. In another case, it is the sweat of Lord Vishnu that caused that Shapam to be removed. Then Daksha got a shapam because Daksha insulted Parvati Devi, right? Nandi and others, they got angry, right? And then they cut off his head and they replaced his head with a goat's head. After that, Daksha again sought refuge, saying, how can I get rid of this goat's head? Then everybody suggested, you please take bath in Ganga, because Ganga has contact with the lotus feet of the Lord. That Ganga is purifying to you and you will get back your original head. So therefore, he went and took bath in Ganga and he got relief from that goat head. This is how the Shiva Purana describes. So in this way, everybody, how did they get relief? By contact with the lotus feet of the Lord's dust, by contact with his sweat, by contact with water that came in contact with him, by contact with, Lakshmi that is present in him. In this way, they all got their shapam removed. So therefore, what are these gopikas asking? They are asking for all four of them. Krishna, when you play, may your sweat fall on us. Krishna, when you play, may the dust from your feet come and fall on us. Krishna, when you take bath, may we also come. We want to do this Neeradam. So they are talking about this Neeradam all the way along, right? They want to play in that word. They want to take bath. They want to take bath in the auspicious qualities of Paramatma, right? And may that Lakshmi Kataksham in the form of this Nappinai Pirati who is with you fall on us. In this way, they are praying that finally, may we also be rid of this Shapam of Samsaram. So this is the beauty of this Pasuram, where the principle of ananyagatitvam is being explained. How one should feel that complete refuge from the core of one's heart. One should feel that refuge only in Paramatma, and how Paramatma gradually, he shows his grace on the Jiva and he delivers the Jiva back to him. So this is the sum and substance of this Pasuram. I know I went a little over today. Thank you all for being patient. Andal Emperumanar Jiyar Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Jai Sri Mangalam. We'll see if anybody wants to share anything today. Or anybody has any questions that they want to ask. Adiyan.
Oh, Jai Sri Mangalam Swami. Sorry, do you want to say anything else?
Adiyan, please go ahead. Ramya.
Sure, Swami. Very wonderfully explained, Swami. I resonated with a lot of things. And one of the things, one main takeaway for me is that consciously practicing the thought of renunciation, like you said, amidst the many things, big or small, we own, how we can constantly, know that we are not the true owner of these things. That is very wonderfully explained, Adian. And my favorite punchline for today is Abhimana is a complicated and convoluted neural network, like you said.
Thank you for summarizing this.
It was very easy to think that, okay, I'm going to work on my Abhimana, like, I won't be having this Abhimanam, but like you said, it is very deeply in the roots, like, oh, these are my children, oh, this is my, my job, or this is what is my role, right? So that getting into the neural network to remove the Abhimana can only happen with the grace of Acharya or Perumal.
Yes. That is it. So you got both ends covered.
Again, one question I had was, you also said that now Andal is saying that like we have to approach Paramatma as a group. But so far, with my limited knowledge, like when we think of great Bhagavatas like Prahlada or Gajendra, like they've all, like even Vibhishana, if you think of it, they all approach like mainly by themselves, Adian. Like can you help just relate some of the examples where like people have approached Paramatma as a group and everybody got liberated? Means Andal, of course, the Gopikas, whoever are going with Andal. Anybody else from the scriptures, Adian?
So many people have approached alone Paramatma and they have attained, but the risk factor involved with that is higher. So that is why in Kali Yugam, the eligibility for individual practices is very low because of, the qualifications of all of us is much low compared to people like Prahlada and all of them who were able to, practice by themselves and attain Paramatma. That is one thing. And the number of distractions in those ages were low compared to the number of distractions in Kali Yuga too. So because of these reasons, when we say associating in groups, this is also an instruction particularly for someone in the beginning phases, right? Until a certain taste develops for Paramatma that one is able to do on one's own, until then this kind of protection framework is required, that satsanga is required. right? After that, that association is more to share experience that one is going through. Even Prahlada felt that way. He also felt lonely at a point, right? In one of the slokams, he says that he's actually feeling sad that all these people, they are unable to experience Paramatma the way he is experiencing. So he wanted some satsang where he could share his experiences. He tried sharing too, but the response rate was very poor for Prahlada, right? But he spoke with a lot of people. He spoke even to his gurus, but they did not respond positively. All of them said, this is all, there is some immediate change that they could find, but after that, again, there was not a huge significant transformation and so on. So at one point he was feeling that how can people be like this? When Narsimha appeared to, Prahlada said that I don't really feel about myself, I feel about all of these people. How will these people get delivered? They don't even have any taste for you. In this way he was feeling. So one way one could say that yes, individual practices are always one's own, but maintaining that association in the beginning phases is necessary to prevent one from falling down. Imagine if one is living all alone, right? Then one's mind can easily get distracted when one is still not having that seriousness and so on, right? But when one has attained a very deep acharya bhakti or stability towards devotion to Paramatma and so on, then it is that love towards the acharya that because of which one cannot, even go in a wrong track, right? One constantly feels my acharya has invested so much in me. My acharya has taught so much to me. My acharya has given so much love to me. How can I again go in those, bad paths and destroy myself? I cannot do this. For everything that acharya has given me, I have to be grateful and I have to always remain on a good platform. It's okay. My own mind is very bad, but that doesn't mean I have to fall down. Just by that intensity of acharya bhakti and so on, one has to maintain. But how many people will carry that kind of bhakti to begin with, right? And so in those phases, it is much more important to stay in groups and so on and constantly seek each other's association and see how they can engage in, more and more devotional activities that way, so that the mind attains certain level of stability. After the mind attains that stability, one would again want to share Paramatma's qualities together. Therefore, Krishna says even in Bhagavad Gita, bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. That constantly my devotees keep sharing about me. Bodhayanta parasparam. Mutually they keep discussing about me. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Constantly they keep telling stories about me. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. In this way, they derive satisfaction and pleasure out of this. I hope that was a satisfactory answer, but I think Harini also, she mentioned mentally strong. Yeah. So in today's world, we need that mental framework and support to lift each other up. So that is what Harini is also sharing. I hope that has answered your question, Ramesh.
Amazing, Adian. Dasam. That's a good perspective. Thank you, Harini.
Jai Shriman Narayana Swami.
Adian, Jai Shriman Narayana.
Anantan has a question.
Yes.
Dear Mama, so if devatas are great bhaktas, how do they not know how to do Sharanagati and get moksha?
This is in theory, Kanna. It's not that they are not. We find that even in Puranas it is mentioned that even people like Brahma and Rudra and all, they have also performed Samashranam, they have also performed Sharanagati, right? The Vedam itself says Mumukshurvai Sharanam Aham Prapadye. That, that is the mood in which one has to approach. And Brahma himself, he recites all the Vedas. So he knows about this principle, he does too. But in principle, when we understand someone is in a very high role, they have lots of responsibilities, lots of ways in which they can get lost because they have to deal with an entire universe. So many functions in the universe they have to deal with, right? So then it is easy for one to think that I have to do this. If I don't do this, how will this happen? If I don't do this, how will this happen? If I don't, oversee this, then how will this happen on time? In this way, one can think that I am the doer. So to give up that feeling may not be easy for someone in that role, right? But that said, people of that level also have that kind of meditation. Thank you for asking that question. So those people are actually mumukshus. They are mumukshus of a very high degree, right? Either in this birth or in the next birth, they are going to get moksha. In fact, most of them will get moksha after this life. But their responsibilities are such that for someone in Brahmaloka or something like that, the realm of responsibilities are so much that it is easy to think that I am the doer. It is easy to think that I am the owner of all these functions in the universe. It is easy to think that if everything is going well, yes, because of my rule, everything is going well. I am ruling very nicely. Easily one can fall into this trap. Was I able to answer you, Ananta, or should I give more easy examples for you to follow?
And also other question. So when do the devatas and when do the devatas go to moksham then? Or
After
any
their duty is over. After their duty is over. Not all devatas. Not all devatas. Among the devatas, there are some who are mumukshus, who are very strong prapannas, who are in a very high level of sthita pragnita. Such devatas, as soon as their lifespan is over right now, they will attain moksham and a new person will step into that role. Okay? But some devatas, it is very likely that after that role is over, they may fall back into a Manushya Loka, or they may fall back even into an insect form or an animal form. Such instances have happened, where someone was previously in the role of an Indra, in the next life, they got cursed. At one point they got cursed and they had to take birth as a pig. Brahma himself came and begged, can you please give up this form and come back? But Indra said, no, I am with my piglets right now. I am with my, female pig right now. I cannot leave them and come. Because in that form, the illusion associated with that conception is so strong that he was thinking that he is that pig. He was actually the Indra. But at one Indra, I'm not talking about the current Indra. We don't know when that incident happened, but that incident is also mentioned. So someone who is in that high position, if they are not a devotee, they can even fall back. Right? So some of them are prapannas and mumukshus who are very serious about their goal. They may go back. Some of them still have that ahankaram. Some of them still have that abhimanam. So they may still continue in that rule. Again for another term, they may serve as Brahma, Rudra, or whatever that person might be. Or they may again fall into a lower form. Or, if they are very strong prapannas and mumukshus who are constantly dependent on Paramatma, they will attain moksha. Then Paramatma will first search for a new replacement for that role. If nobody in the universe is qualified, he himself takes that role. That is also mentioned sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't find a qualified Indra. Sometimes he doesn't find a qualified Varuna. Then he himself occupies that position if nobody else exists.
Yeah. Thank you.
So these are all posts.
Okay,
all the roles of devatas and manus and different, these are all roles. Those roles are occupied by jivas. Those jivas keep changing from yuga to yuga. It's not that the same people always exist, right? Some of them already got moksham and they left. Some of them are here. So when Shastras are talking about a certain devata or something, we need not always assume that it is current Indra or current Brahma or current Rudra. Right? In that particular kalpa, in that particular time frame, whoever occupied that role was like that or is like that. But in general, people who are at that level are subject to easily fall into this abhimana, thinking that I am the ruler, I am the owner, I am the enjoyer of these things. Because of me, everything is functioning well. If I don't take care, how will this happen? In this way, they can easily think, right? They can easily fall into that trap. That is the principle.
Thank you, Mama.
Jai Shriman.
Jai Shriman.
They are doing their duties, right? It's the Perumal.
Hello, Jai Shriman Narayana.
Adiyan, please share.
Hello. Sorry. I just wanted to say just one small point. When you talked about Tingalam Madityanam Andal pol Anganirandam Kundengal Mil Nokudel. So you compared Krishna's eyes for Tingal and Adityan, right?
Yes.
Surya and Chandra. So the same reference she is giving in first Pasuram too in Kadirmadiyam Pol Mogatan. So I got cut very briefly and I'm not sure if you had mentioned about this in today's explanation. So she is taking this, the one eye is sun and one eye is moon. She is rewinding and she is taking that from the first Pasuram, because this also it's one of the perspectives. So in the first Pasuram, she's saying that she's introducing Yashoda and Nandagopa's son, and one eye is Surya, one eye is Chandra, and he is Narayanan. He's called as Narayanan, right? So it's Well, I see Andal as a beautiful screenplay writer. Like, see, in example, in movies, no, the movie, it will start with one scene. First scene, it will start. And then all of a sudden, there will be some unconnected scenes relating to the first scene. And when the climax nears, the first scene will repeat. So she will say the connection, right? So after she sang the first Pasuram, Krishna tried hard to control Andal. He requested Andal, please do not call me Narayana, because I am hiding here as Krishna, as Nandagopan's and Yashoda's son. So this is the first scene, right? After this, she talks about various other things, like she wakes up all the gopis, she wakes up everyone, and then now this is 22nd Pasuram, and we have only 8 more Pasurams. Now we are nearing the climax, right? So now she is reminding Krishna, yes, I kept silent for all these days. So now I am going to go back to the first scene, and I'm going to remind you why I actually came to you. The purpose of me writing Thiruppavai, the purpose of me talking to you is she's slowly introducing the first scene and the purpose of writing Thiruppavai from this scene. Like, I am saying scene, but like, for easy understanding. But from this, now she starts to give like little reminders to Krishna that, hey, I'm going to go back to the first Pasuram. This is like, one eye is Sun, Surya, one eye is Chandra. And then like 2 Pasurams later, like the third Pasuram is Ongi Ulagalanda, right? Now, she starts Andru Ulagam Malandai Adi Potri. She's slowly like writing the screenplay in such a way that she's reminding whatever she spoke in the first 5 Pasurams, she's starting from now, she's setting the stage for the climax. So, I mean, this again is like one other perspective which I thought of sharing, but I got cut in between, so I'm not sure if you referred this when you
No. I didn't refer it, so it's always good that you share these perspectives. I didn't get a chance to mention this, and I didn't even know this actually. I didn't observe this too, but thank you for sharing this observation. Very nice to hear.
Sure. Yeah, and when you explain about Andru Ulagam Malanda Adipotri, that is the reference for Ongi Ulagalanda, which she mentioned in the third Pasuram.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to stop here. Sorry, but I thought I can just share this.
You can definitely share.
Yeah. Thank you. Jai Shri Narayana.
Jai Shri Narayana. Thank you. Anything else anybody wants to share, ask?
Thank you, Adian. Wonderful session.
Thank you.
We can, every day you tell us so many different ways of how we can interpret the inner meaning with the Acharya's teachings and
It's
also
Acharya's teachings.
Adian, yeah, Harini Adian also shares another beautiful variation. It's like a feast. Whoever is listening and enjoying. And Adian wanted to also I felt that Mother Andal is such a phenomenal poet. Like the way how she compares, I don't think any poet can feel like that. Like she is comparing, right? It's like a bell, where the eyeball, where the bell, you can see the eyeball like that she's saying, and also comparing the opening of the lotus, like in the beginning stages, the flower when it's opening, and then she tries to compare Surya Chandra. He's not at all satisfied. I mean, she keeps her poetic skills are amazing. We can see in each and all the Pasurams. Yeah, I felt that's great.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Balagaru. Very, very nice. Thank you. Anything else for today, or we can close otherwise?
Swami, Jai Shri Narayana Swami. I am taking leave with your permission, Swami.
Thank you all for joining again. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Adian.
Thank you.
That's so Maria.
As well.
Jai Shri Narayana.
Jai Sri.
Thank you.